It's Mbeumo versus Bruno as I buy a Man United midfielder this week as part of 3 free transfers, and yes, I'm using them all. Welcome back to another video. This is my team selection for game week 11. So let's get started and let me show you the team before any transfers. And this is the team I showed you at the start of the week. Let me go through and tell you who is leaving the building. So first and foremost, Victor Gyokeres. Big cross through him because he is out. And with that, Gianni needs to sell him, and so do you guys if you own him. Frustrating as an own. Probably wanted a little bit more from him and expected a little bit more. He was unlucky not to get a couple of assists in the last few weeks. He's put it on a plate and created big chances for Saka, who hasn't converted. And he got his goal as his parting gift in his 45-minute cameo in game week 10. But look, he's been ruled out till after the international break. It's time to sell him and redistribute those funds, but also redistribute that other Arsenal spot. We still want the Arsenal triple up, and we're going to talk about double defence later in this video. But who else is vulnerable or likely to leave this team? Well, look, to Gianni Reijnders. Really interesting, this one. I flogged him hard pre-season, and I got so many nice messages after game week 1 when he hauled saying, thanks, I put him in because you banged the drum so hard. I still think he's a brilliant option in his price band. The difficulty I've got is going into the festive period. Now Marmoush is back fit. Now Cherki is back fit. Knowing Foden's playing so well. Knowing he loves Bernardo Silva. And to Gianni Reijnders. I've just named you 5 players who can play in those 2 attacking 8-10 hybrid roles. There's only space for 2 on the pitch, and there's 5 names there. There's going to be rotation. I think to Gianni Reijnders is first choice. We saw in the Champions League against Dortmund, he got 2 assists, and he played alongside Foden, who also got 2 goals. And I think it's probably Foden and Reijnders, but you're going to see games where Cherki comes in. You're going to see games where Bilva plays there, Bernardo, and you're going to see games where Marmoush plays there. Obviously, the players mentioned can also play out wide. But I think rotation is going to be too much of a problem long-term with Reijnders. So I'm going to be, I think, with a heavy heart, getting rid of Reijnders. And Reijnders currently has been my 8th attacker in the last few weeks, and that's fine, and I think he's a brilliant 8th attacker. But the way I'm moving and distributing my funds means this spot will be the 7th attacker, and I just can't guarantee he's going to start every week or get 90 every week. So look, I'm sure he'll be back in my team at some point this season, especially when Man Utd have got injuries, but for the time being, I think Reijnders is going to be gone. And then Max Kilman is a really interesting one because it's a good fixture this week for Kilman. Like, I actually think Kilman probably keeps a clean sheet at home to Burnley. And I think off the back of the Newcastle game, we've seen West Ham under Nuno will probably be all right. And we know what Nuno does. Defence first, keeps clean sheets, 4.3 Kilman, no harm done. But again, if we're talking about Arsenal defenders, out of all my defenders, which one can I let go to bring in an Arsenal defender? It's Kilman. There's no way I'm selling Senesi. There's no way I'm selling Richards. Mukiele's the best in the 4 million band. I paid 4 million for him. I think it's Kilman that has to go, and the fixtures are dreadful for West Ham moving forward. And then Nick Pope is also vulnerable. When we talk about double Arsenal defence, we have to have a conversation about Raya as an alternative to an Arsenal defender and the opportunity cost of going for an Arsenal defender over a Raya. So we'll talk about that as well. So look, there's 3 vulnerable spots and Gyokeres, who's definitely gone. But 3 players are leaving my team this week, and I'll tell you who in this video. Guys, thank you for hitting those buttons. Do hit the like button, but thank you for subscribing to the channel as well. It means a lot that loads of you have been subscribing of late. And if you've got a question, then drop it in the comments below. So look, Monday's video, I presented you 6 options. I presented you these 6 options as what I can do with my team. I'm going to go through them one by one, and I'm going to tell you which options or which option I'm going with. But before I do that, let's do a little bit of a comparison on Calafiori, who featured in those options, versus Raya, because this is the big headache I've had all week. It's what do I do with that third Arsenal spot? You have to have Gabriel. I really want Saka. I know I want double Arsenal defence. Is it Raya or is it Calafiori or Timber or Saliba? But is it a Arsenal defender or is it Raya? Now, with my money, I can only afford Calafiori. I have to mention that. Timber is more expensive, and the plans I've got, I'm happy paying 5.8 for Calafiori over 6.1 Timber. Saliba is 6 million, so sort of between the two, if you like. But when we look at Calafiori, I see someone that has got a chance of a big haul. When we look at defender points this season, overall in the game, like who's had the most points, So far, we can see this list. Gabriel's had 80, Timber 66, Gahey 64, Calafiori 60. The 4 best performing defenders in the game, 3 of them have been Arsenal defenders. Now, Gabriel is clear, but there's not much between a Timber and a Calafiori. And when we look at Arsenal's clean sheet hopes moving forward, let me show you this grab from Solio Analytics. Rob T tweeted this. From game week 11 through to game week 16, which is AFCON, by the way, and when you're going to get 5 free transfers. Taking the next 6 game weeks, look who's top of the charts for clean sheets. By some distance, they're always around 50% likely to keep a clean sheet by the bookies' odds. Now, I don't necessarily pick players by things like this, but this is clear. This is head and shoulders Arsenal are the best defence in the league. Game week 13, you'll see they've got a lower chance of a clean sheet. They go to Stamford Bridge, 32%. That's a week I'm probably going to be free hitting anyway. I'll talk about free hit again later in this video, but knowing the odds, knowing the fact I've been banging on about and wanting double Arsenal defence, moving there makes sense. But is it Calafiori or is it Raya? Raya's just going to get me 6 pointers. Raya's never going to get save points. I think he's had 2 save points all season in 10 games. He's never going to get bonus, and he can't get a goal or an assist, right? Versus Calafiori, who's unlikely to ever get DEFCON. He doesn't always play 90. He's often getting hooked at 75, 80 minutes. We can see here Calafiori's numbers. But in game week 1 and 2, he had 3 attacking returns. And you will get some attacking returns from Calafiori. He's really good at set pieces. And with Arsenal set pieces, we know they score so many goals, right? Yes, a lot of those are Gabriel headers. But there's a lot of goals that come from Gabriel headers, one, and someone tapping in. Last week it was Gyokeres. That very easily could have been a Timber, a Saliba, a Calafiori tapping in on the line. And I do think we're going to see a couple of goal involvements from the Italian, from set pieces, just benefiting from the excellent delivery of Rice and Saka and the knockdowns from Gabriel. So the ceiling is way bigger for an Arsenal defender versus Raya. I also have Nick Pope, who's a perfectly good hold long term. Newcastle have good fixtures over the festive period, although the next 2 fixtures are tricky for Newcastle. I think I just have to chase the ceiling here, and the answer is therefore, surely Calafiori. Now, will he miss a game over Christmas? Yes. Does that matter too much? Probably not. Does he get early subs? Yes. Does that matter? Well, it means he won't get DEFCON much because he's not on the pitch 90 minutes. Doesn't matter though, because if you're getting subbed at 75 minutes and Arsenal do concede late, remember Burnley hit the woodwork in the last couple of minutes of their game last weekend against Arsenal. If there is a late clean sheet wipeout, Calafiori is probably off the pitch. That could work in his favour. You're then looking at clean sheet for him and possibly bonus points for him versus all the other Arsenal defenders that didn't actually get them. So as things stand, I think Calafiori is going to be in. And I'd be surprised if I go against that. So let me just introduce you to the rest of my options moving forward. I want to go through those 6 options that I showed you. I want to just discount some of them straight away. So option 1 and 2 and 3. Let's just do 1 and 2. Going to put crosses through them straight away. They involve João Pedro. I was foolish. It was the typical Chelsea fan in me that saw João Pedro versus Spurs and got excited. Yes, I sold him like everyone else at 7.5 million. And he went and got 9 points versus Spurs. I'm happy because Mateta got me 9 points and I wanted Mateta long term. But I saw João Pedro and thought, could I bring him back now? I've got this opportunity with Gyokeres going. No. Don't do it, Gianni. He played 75 minutes in the Champions League versus Qarabağ. He didn't produce a shot. This is the João Pedro we had seen in game week 7, 8, 9. João Pedro, I don't think, is a great FPL option right here, right now, because he's not shooting enough and he's being moved around between number 9, number 10, with the lap back, with Palmer back soon. You could worry about his minutes being a guaranteed starter for every fixture. Sure, he's first choice. Whilst the fixtures in the next 2 are great, and that's what I was really liking, it was like, oh, go on, Gianni, just chase Wolves, just chase Burnley. I think it's a 2-week punt and it's great. And I think if you hold him, he's great. Do I think he's a buy? No, I've got to go back on that. Same with Liam Delap. Option 3, cross through him. I got carried away like, oh, he's back fit. 45 minutes versus Qarabağ. He could start, but it's a big, big if. And he's not going to play more than 60 minutes in those games versus Wolves and Burnley, is he? Too risky. I just can't go there. And I've got to allow myself to go head over heart with those moves. Option 4, again, Igor Jesus is too risky. Like Chris Wood back fit probably. We just don't know he's going to be a 90. He's just not going to be a 90-minute man, Igor Jesus. Even when he starts, he gets the early subs. And in that slot, I need a starter. And it was option 5 in the comments. You lot all told me. Go option 5, Gianni. Like massively in the comments, option 5 was the winner. Am I going to go option 5? Probably, but not exactly. Let me explain. And option 6, by the way, do nothing, was never going to happen. So let me give you an option 6 and let me tweak option 5. First, let's tweak option 5. Let's take Krupi Jr. out and put Mark Guiu in. The idea of going with this option is all about having an enabler. That enabler is going to be third sub. Why have Krupi Jr., who I'm never going to start, even if he is getting some minutes. Go Mark Guiu. So that means on the notes section, we should go 0.5 million in the bank, 0 free transfers. So option 5 is those 3 moves. Option 6 is the same 3 departures. Reijnders, Kilman, Gyokeres all leave the team. But it's Bruno, Mark Guiu and Calafiori who come in. Now that leaves 0.0 in the bank and 0 frees, right? So we're now deciding between option 5 and option 6 for Gianni's team. Now, this is tricky. This has given me a headache all week. First, this option is all about a Man United midfielder. So I think we should probably talk about Man United, shouldn't we? Let me present to you the fixture ticker. So here we can see the fixtures, game week 11 to game week 16. This takes us up to AFCON, right? I think with all the stuff we're looking at now, we should only go up to game week 16 because remember, ahead of game week 16 is when we're getting the 5 free transfers, right, for AFCON. Now, Man United, according to Fantasy Football Scout, and guys, do check Scout out, there's a link in the description, the QR code on screen. So much free stuff on there. I filtered this by attacking difficulty, right? Man United have the best attacking fixtures over the next 6. Starting with Tottenham away. Everton at home. Crystal Palace away in 13 is probably the hardest of the 6. I think I'm free hitting in 13. We'll talk about that later. West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth. So I could take them out for 13. Now, I look at these fixtures and go, Gianni, you have to have a Liverpool attacker. We'll talk about that one next week. And you have to have a Man United attacker. The big question for me is which Man United attacker. I can afford either. I'd leave 0.0 in the bank if I went Bruno. Or I'd leave 0.5 in the bank if I went Mbeumo. Now, let me show you, again on Scout, the average position map of both of them. I'm just doing a comparison all season. Let me introduce you to Bruno versus Mbeumo. Now, this has been a headache of mine pretty much all season because earlier on this season, I was Bruno versus Mbeumo versus Cunha. I brought in Cunha, was it game week 2 or 3? Captained him and he went off injured after half an hour. Most went Bruno. There are Bruno managers out there and there are Mbeumo Cunha managers out there. I've always seen myself as a Mbeumo Cunha style manager. Those that perhaps go for the higher ceiling but the lower floor with players that are perhaps more fun to watch, more explosive, but perhaps not always the most sensible picks. Bruno is the sensible pick. He ticks along. He has more routes to points. He takes penalties. He gets DEFCON. He never gets injured. He's just a set and forget. Versus the Mbeumos, who you might bring in for short periods where you think that's a fixture I can target or that's a run of games I love or here I'm seeing the form. The higher target, I think, and ceiling often comes with Mbeumo. But Gianni, do you need to be a bit more sensible this season? Should you just go, keep calm, carry on, set and forget Bruno? Now, I'm going to compare some stats with you in a minute, but before I do, I want to set the scene. Earlier this season, probably game weeks 1 to 7, I had seen from Bruno someone playing in a midfield too, just not interested. The average position is just not good enough for me. I need players closer to goal, constantly getting shots. I like that high shot volume, that high XG. And sure, you had the penalties. Fine. And he missed 2 of them. And if he didn't miss, he'd be Burr. Anyway, everyone misses big chances. I don't think we need to get the violin out. Bruno owners tend to do that quite a bit. It's the if, buts and maybes. You could say the same for any player. The last few weeks, however, Bruno's position in open play has got a little bit more sexy. Now, the formation hasn't changed at Old Trafford, but Cunha being in the team, he's working hard. He worked so hard last week, he got DEFCON. That allows Bruno a little bit more attacking space further forward, because if Cunha's tracking back, often when Cunha is in more defensive positions, Bruno can go in front of him. Can't always say the same for whoever else is playing in that role, or if Cunha's being a little bit lazy. But Bruno also, because Man United have been more dominant with the ball, Bruno's just gone 10 yards higher up the pitch. So he's been in more shooting positions. He's been in better open play positions because United have been 10 yards higher up. So his creativity, his creative pass has been, rather than being on the halfway line, has been 10, 20 yards higher. And that's made a real difference to his creativity and his shots from distance. Because instead of being 40 yards from goal, he's often 20 yards from goal, where he'll have a pop. And we saw him hit the post last time out from one of those 25-yarders. So do we think Man United's form will continue and they'll be high up the pitch? Well, looking at the opposition, you'd probably say yes. Looking at the fact they have no European football, you'd probably say yes. Remember, Man United, just like Brighton, Bournemouth and Everton, some good teams there don't have European football. They benefit from a full week on the training ground, and it's massive. And because of that, at weekends, we should see a strong Man United. Now, they were disappointing, many might say, against Forest, but I think Forest at the City Ground are always strong. I expected that one to be a draw, and it was. Looking at the fixtures, and let me come back to that fixture ticker very quickly. Spurs away, look what they did against Chelsea. They were rubbish, and they've played in Europe midweek. They could be tired. Everton at home, I fancy United to be dominant, and Everton defence hasn't actually been that impressive. Palace is a tough game, and I'd probably take him out, whoever I go for. But then it's West Ham, Wolves and Bournemouth. 2 of them at home. Yeah, we like those fixtures. Now, is it Bruno or is it Mbeumo? I feel like it's a coin toss. Ask me 3-4 weeks ago, I go Mbeumo all day long. I've just told you I'm an Mbeumo style manager. I go for the ceiling. I didn't like the Bruno average position playing in a midfield 2 with Casemiro. But ask me now, and I'm so 50-50 it's untrue. I can't even tell you that I'm 60-40. And I always do that in team selections. I can always do this is a real coin toss for me. Now, when we look at the stats summary taken all season, you can see Bruno there on Scout, 55% overall, and Mbeumo 45. That's taken all of the numbers, by the way. Let me give you some of the numbers that you care about. Now, remember, Bruno has taken 2 penalties, so the XG numbers are skewed, but take the penalties away and the XG is pretty much the same. The expected assists, and Mbeumo is actually slightly higher, 0.7 higher. If you look at the bonus, then of course Bruno's better. If you look at DEFCON, Bruno's better. If you look at penalty area touches, Mbeumo has 50, Bruno is 22. If you're looking at goal attempts in the box, Mbeumo is 19, Bruno is 12. If you're looking at the fixtures, which ones are more Bruno fixtures or Mbeumo fixtures? You'd have to say they feel, because they're playing slightly middling or weaker opposition in a lot of these games, they're probably more Mbeumo fixtures. Spurs away, space in behind. Spurs will have possession. It's so hard. I don't know where I'm at with this one, but I do think with the rest of my team, I'm fairly well set. And I think I have to also consider the AFCON transfer. We will get 5 free transfers, and I will be selling Mbeumo in AFCON. Remember, he plays for Cameroon. They take part in the AFCON. It saves me a transfer if I just set and forget Bruno. I also have to think about captaincy. Am I going to be going against Haaland anytime soon? I'm going Haaland in game week 11. But in game week 12, Man United have Everton at home. Haaland goes to Newcastle. There is every chance I captain my Man United attacker in game week 12. Would I rather captain Bruno or would I rather captain Mbeumo? Because of the floor being higher for Bruno, I'd probably rather captain Bruno. He's a safer captaincy pick. He has the higher floor. And what I mean by that is routes to points, DEFCON penalties. Man United have had 3 penalties this season. They are going to get 3 penalties every 10 games. Maybe every 12, 13 games. But they're probably going to get a pen every 3-4 games. And if they do, Bruno's the bigger beneficiary. They share set pieces, and Mbeumo takes half, Bruno takes half. I can keep talking about this, and I can keep coming back to a very similar conclusion. It's a coin toss. Let me know in the comments what you would do, and I'll stop waffling on about this. I think at the moment my heart says Mbeumo, my head says Bruno, but it's a 50-50 call. It'll probably go down to the deadline. Of course, there is 0.5 between it, and if I see them as equal, I should go Mbeumo. Now, let me show you my team moving forward with Mbeumo in it, okay? I feel like that's Even though I'm saying it's 50-50, because of the money in the bank and what I might want to do moving forward, let me explain. So this is my team now, how I'm set up. So we've got Pope in goal. We've got Gabriel. We've got no Kilman. Calafiori has come in instead of Kilman, alongside Richards. And do you know what? I'd be very tempted to play Senesi, but let's put Senesi sub 1 at the moment. Should we put Senesi sub 1? Yeah, let's do Senesi sub 1, Mukiele sub 2, and Mark Guiu sub 3. In midfield, we've then got Saka, Semenyo, Sarr, and Minter. And then it's a front two. Sorry, and of course my new signing Mbeumo, if that happens. So we've got a 3-5-2, and then it's Haaland and Gyokeres up front. First and foremost, this leaves me with 0 free transfers and 0.5 million in the bank, but also it leaves me with a benching dilemma. Do I bench Senesi away to Villa? Defcon very likely, he always hits it. Or do I play Minter away in the derby? This is the M23 derby. They don't like each other. Brighton versus Palace. I think there'll be goals. I think I'll probably go for the ceiling of a Minter. At the moment, I think it's 60-40 Minter over Senesi. But again, hard one to call. Captaincy is on Haaland and I'm set there. But with that 0.5 million, what can I do? And why does Mbeumo appeal more than Bruno because of the money in the bank? Well, let me explain. Guys, thank you for hitting that subscribe button, by the way. It really does mean a lot. And if you've got a question, drop it below. And obviously the likes and all that, great for the algorithm. I really appreciate you doing that. The 0.5 million could come in useful because I'm going to be getting rid of Sarr in AFCON, and that will be an upgrade. I also could get rid of Sarr before AFCON because I'm already big on Crystal Palace, right? I've got my Teta in play there. Although Palace do have good fixtures. Someone like a Dominic Szoboszlai is 0.1 more expensive than Sarr. And having a little bit of money in the bank to upgrade any of these players, whether it's Minter, whether it's Sarr, feels like it could be quite precious. So maybe that 0.5 matters. But guys, as things stand, I am pretty set. We'll go back to option 5 versus option 6. It's the same moves, but one is Bruno, one is Mbeumo. Oh, let me know in the comments what you would do. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.